Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for July 22nd, 2024. Well, my goodness, we had quite the news over the weekend. President Biden dropping out of the race. Kamala Harris is now the favored Democratic candidate that still has to win the support at the convention coming up. What an interesting, some unprecedented stuff's happening this year, creating some uncertainty overall around the world. So, what does that mean for today? Well, let's take a look at what happened overnight. First off, Asia markets had a rough night last night. Mostly lower, the Nikkei falling 464 points or 1.16%. Only Hong Kong was higher. That is the tech heavy sector, up 218 points, while Shanghai also move lower. If we take a look at European markets this morning, they seem to be pretty okay with the change here in U.S. politics. Strongly higher in the DAX, up 1.41%. FTSE's up by 7.76%, and the CAC is also zooming higher, up 1.38% this morning. Let's take a look at our futures. U.S. futures are also working for gains this morning, with the NASDAQ zooming up 0.85% or 168.5 points here at the moment, while the other futures are a little bit more modest in their gains. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here in the oil sector. Oil a little bit lower here this morning. We've got crude prices down 24 cents at 79.89 a barrel. Brent is down 27 cents at 82.36 a barrel. If we take a look at natural gas is up pretty sharply here this morning, up more than 6.5 cents. Looking across at precious metals, if we take a look at GLD had a really rough day on Friday, but it's trying to bounce back up here a little bit this morning. Right now showing bullishly up more than $10 an ounce here in the pre-market. Silver, just a little teeny tiny higher, not much going on there. And copper, platinum, and palladium are all just modestly lower. Taking a look at the crypto markets, we've got Bitcoin trying to move up by $1.28 a coin. If we take a look at like BITO is on a rally here to the upside, breaking that downtrend, so keep an eye on that. And we're green across the board on those cryptos here this morning. Let's take a look at our bonds here this morning. Our bonds aren't easing up here. As a matter of fact, a little bit higher. The 2-year bond is at 4.52% this morning. The 10-year bond is 4.22% this morning, and the 30s are coming in at 4.43. And I'm guessing probably just a little bit of that is the uncertainty and the fluctuation that we've got happening in the government. So watch that carefully here as we move on for the day. So what does all that mean? Well, how about we settle in and buckle up, and let's get ready for the Monday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these charts, try to glean a little bit of information about how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, everyone, we want to shake off that bias and look at the chart for what it is, not for what we want it to be. So when we're looking at the diamonds here, as you can see, this pullback in here should not have been a major surprise. We were very parabolic in that move to the upside. And what would really be probably more of a surprise to me is that we would catch some support right in here rather than down here at price support. But that being said, right now the bulls are showing an interest in pushing back higher. So if those bulls can continue to push, let's look for a resistance level right in here on that diamonds chart. Pushing beyond that, maybe we'll see if we can fill that gap here to the upside. And then if we can push through on through there, I'm going to start coming right up here into these levels, and then we'll be looking to see whether we can make all-time highs here in the market. If the bears were to find inspiration, then look for a pullback, and as I mentioned, that pullback down into here, maybe to test this price support in the chart. This is the stronger, by far the strongest levels of price support. Failing through there, of course, would be pretty brutal in a potential move. You can see we've got an upside trend here that could still be tested if we were to pull back into here, coming back into this area of price support and upside trend. Let's take a look at our SPY. SPY, little bit of question marks here on SPY. Probably some uncertainty in this presidential thing. Probably doesn't help that at all. But looking in here on the SPY, since we broke this support and broke this trend, if the bulls pushing the way they are this morning can continue to push higher and bounce off of this area price support, then I'm going to be looking for this resistance area up in here as the area to be watching for that potential of lower high. Now that doesn't mean that that's what I am predicting is going to occur, but what we have to be paying attention to is that possibility it does exist that we would rally up into here, see those bears come back in and push back down. Now I know everyone's saying, yeah, but it's earnings season, there's no way we're going to go down during earnings season. Well, believe me, I have seen many earnings seasons where we do go down. So don't rule out that possibility. If the bulls can push on through this level, however, then we start to regain some of that confidence here in the market. And any proof of hold up here would then send us back up here to maybe retest the highs in the market. If the bears, however, today were to find inspiration and push lower, then I would be looking at Friday's low in here first, and beyond that would be coming down in here to that stronger area of price support in the SPY. You know, it really isn't a good thing when we kind of create a space in mid-air. We do have this support here giving us that that good area price support to bounce from. So technically this looks pretty decent here in the SPY as long as we can hold that on the day. Let's take a look at our QQQ. QQQ, well, we had a pretty rough week last week in the NASDAQ, pushing back down here into these price support levels. And one of the things that I think we're going to have to watch is any rally back up in here as we push into these resistance levels in the chart and that potential of that downtrend coming into play. We want to be watching for that lower high possibility here in the NASDAQ. So keep a close eye on that. Now, if the bulls can push hard enough today, then we can push right back up here into that resistance area and breaking through there, I'm going to suggest right up in here. After that, I think we're going to be dealing with a little bit of double whammy in here of a potential downtrending area in the chart for the Qs to break through. Breaking back up through there, we're probably up here and looking for a retest of all-time highs. Now, if the bears were to come up with any inspiration today in data or anything else along those lines and sell back off, we would see this as a potential low test, and you can see we got that little support level right there. And if the bears were to push beyond that, well, then it would get a bit on the ugly side. And you can see we've got a little bit of a gap here that could be filled, and then down into these areas of price support in the chart if the bears were to really get going. Now, keeping in mind, looking at these, we're hovering very close to our 50-day moving average. So a test of that 50-day would not be out of the question in both the SPY and the QQQ. So pay close attention to that possibility as well. And then if we look at the Russell looking for a bounce back up here this morning, and if the bulls can continue to show that effort in here to push back up, first we need to break back through into that resistance area up here that I've marked in the chart. And if we can push through that, well, then we have that possibility that we could keep stretching up, testing these levels to see whether or not we can get through this congestion zone in the chart this time. If the bears for some reason were to find inspiration here today, and there may be reason to think about that, because all of a sudden we seem to show lots of bullishness right back into the tech sector, and that could draw money out of IWM. But if that were the case, breaking back down below this support level, then I think we're going to start coming on down, maybe filling some of these gaps here in the chart, and then looking at this bigger support area here in IWM. Now, even if we were to come all the way back there, I want you to note, put the drawings back on there, we don't even come close to the 50-day moving average. That's how parabolic we've been here in the Russell. And also keep in mind that maybe we just consolidate, which would be a very healthy thing for IWM to do after such a parabolic move, is just rest in here for a period of time and let those moving averages catch up. If we look at our VIX this morning, our VIX, interesting, I think we got a bad tick here in TC2000, but showing this potential push on higher here. We'll want to watch that closely in our VIX, because we've been seeing quite a rally. But my guess is, looking at the price action in the futures today, a pullback is likely. Now, looking at that, we've got a support level right through here that we could test as support. We've got a support level right through here that we could test as support. Remember, we broke that downtrend here to the upside on that. What's going to be critical in here for the bears is if they were to hold a higher low. Those bulls want to push this right back down and suggest that there is no fear in the market. Remember, also for you option traders out there, when the VIX rises, remember all of your option prices go up due to the higher implied volatility, that concern, that fear that could be coming up in the market. So watch that close. If we take a look at our T20s, our T21-22 indicator, well, pulled back here, fell below the 50% area in the chart. So any bounce back up, we notice we've opened up a nice opportunity now in a relief to that selling, a bounce back up, big upside potential. But also you want to take note that if the bears were to find inspiration, well, we still have substantial downside possibility here in T21-22 as well. The selling in here, notice we created this little hockey stick down in here. That would give me a little bit of lean to the bullish side today. That push back up here, we'll see if it can garner enough attention, however, to be really supportive of price. Keep a close eye on that. And then T2108 pulled back in here on last week. No harm, no foul here in T2108. Just a little bit of a resting pullback. Bulls are still definitely in control here. If we can find some support in here and bounce like we're showing this morning, no particular worries. I will, however, say that we are in a very, very frothy area of T2108. We still have some upside potential here before we kind of hit some of those peaks, But just keep in mind, once we get up into these areas, we're at high risk of more pullback. If we take a look at our T2107, same thing is true. Nice little resting pullback in here, likely finding some support. No particular worries there, but you'll also want to notice that we're in a very frothy area here as well in T2107, and that as we peak out here in these numbers, we'll have to watch this closely for that possibility of a pullback coming in T2107. And T2101, we had a little bit of a breadth decline on Friday, which is a good thing for the bulls because they didn't see that super energy from the bears pushing in. Still a lot of anticipation about earnings, and of course we have to remember we're going to start moving into those big tech earnings soon, and we'll start catching some of that enthusiasm here in the market, whether it be bullish or bearish, depending on how those numbers actually come out. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before, oh, wait a second, we didn't take a look at our economic calendar. Our economic calendar here today, not much going on. We got a Chicago Fed National Activity Index. Nobody's really going to care. 3 and 6 month bill auctions as well. Very light day, so good day for the market to find inspiration and push to the upside. If we take a look through the rest of the week, we've got existing home sales here on Monday. Richmond Fed manufacturing, some bond auctions in there, and a money supply number. If we look into Wednesday, normal mortgage applications, PMI, new home sales, petroleum status numbers, of course, those are important to be paying attention to. Survey of business uncertainty. All of those are important to be paying attention to. But the real numbers coming in to where we could find a little bit of stress here are going to be on Thursday. So everything will culminate into durable goods report, a GDP number, international trading goods, and jobless claims, all on Thursday coming in. So pretty substantial day there. And then, of course, the worry of personal incomes and outlays here. We'll be watching that pretty closely. That core PCE number is always a concern here for the market, and that remember, that's the Fed's favorite number. So watch that on Friday along with consumer sentiment. How about we take a look at our earnings calendar here for today? And remember, guys, as we get busier and busier in earnings, there's no way I can cover all of the earnings that we'll be reporting. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to go over those that are reporting this morning. You'll need to click the link below the title of the video in the description of the video. That'll take you back to the morning blog where you can catch that full list of notables for this afternoon. There are quite a few. So first off, we've got BOH that will be reporting this morning. IQV will be reporting. Nice little pop there in that one. High or low, keep an eye on IQV. TFC reporting this morning, and we're going to have Verizon reporting. Ooh, that's a pretty ugly one there. So Verizon pushing back lower on its earnings report. So with that, everyone, make sure you click that link below the title of the video. That'll take you back to the morning blog where you can get that full list of afternoon reports that are notable for the day. Let's take a look at a few of these stocks that could be setting up. And remember, everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very careful in this market. Try not to take anything that I say as a guarantee in any way, shape, or form. Follow your trading rules, your guidelines, and your risk tolerances when you make a decision on any trade, and you should never blindly follow anyone else's trade ideas. First off, let's take a look at the dollar here today. Dollar strengthening back up as we see those bonds moving back higher. We got the dollar pushing up. Now the question will be, here in the dollar. Will we break through this downtrend in here? And it's certainly, depending on how you draw that possibility that maybe we are breaking that downtrend here. So watch that carefully. If we create some kind of a higher low and continue up, that could be a little bit problematic for anything in commodities. However, if we do find that resistance up here and turn back down, I would keep a close eye on some of those commodity prices, such as gold, that is trying to hold a little bit of support and trend here today. And take a look at stocks like CLF. CLF has been trying to get something going here on the steel side, pushing back here just recently in the chart. So watch that close. We've got earnings here coming in, so that could change everything here in CLF. But watch that carefully here. If that can find some support, may have that opportunity to move up. Take a look at well, if I could type this morning, there we go. Steel Dynamics. Also, it's been attempting to get something going here in an upside trend. Trying to hold some support in here, so keep an eye on some of the steel. If we take a look at copper, boy, that one fell completely out of bed here, and Alcoa aluminum did as well. So maybe we want to start watching some of these if the dollar strengthens for that potential short side trade here in Alcoa. Any rally back up would set up an opportunity short, and I'm going to say the same thing here on stocks like FCX. Now at this point, breaking these support levels, any rally back up, I'd be looking for that next opportunity for a downside move in copper if that dollar decides to continue to stay strong. So watch those closely. You also want to be keeping a close eye on anything in that energy sector. Energy, we've been seeing a lot of those oil producers really make some moves here and pushing up through some resistance in the chart. Now finding this resistance a little bit more challenging, pulling back. But if we can hold that higher low in there, watch for that next opportunity for some of those energy stocks here in the chart. And there are some nice ones out there. Take a look at FANG. It pushed through this resistance. We slipped this just a little bit. Notice we hammered there on Friday. This morning we're seeing a little bit of weakness in that stock in the pre-market. Watch that carefully if that were to be able to push back up through those levels. Certainly worth paying attention to some of these. There's some, take a look at Occidental, very bullish pattern in here, this resting pullback, looking for that next opportunity for the upside there as well. Got to keep an eye here on IBM. I think IBM's looking pretty darn good, and obviously Friday was a little bit of a rough day in volatility on that, but it was a rough day for a lot of companies with the markets pulling back the way they were. So watch this as this works out here toward this trend. Look for that next opportunity in IBM. You can see where my prior alert was on that chart. So watch that carefully for that next upside opportunity, IBM coming around. And with that, we might want to be keeping an eye on some of these tech giants as they try to bounce back. Now here again, we are very, very centric into big tech, but as we push back up, let's watch some of these resistance levels in the chart. We can literally see the possibility with that lower high right there that this could rally into some resistance and continue to see that selling. But what's really going to tell the tale is this, all of these big tech earnings reports that are on the way. So we could look for some big gaps here in Google and some of these other tech giants as they report. Watch them carefully. If they blow out earnings like they have been recently, we might gap right back up, be right back in the game here on those. A failure here, however, notice how we're holding on this support area. A failure here could be critical if they were to gap lower and breaking that down. So we've got a lot of data coming our way on these tech giants. We'll have to be really careful and just know that there's a lot of anticipation on these reports, and there'll be a lot of emotion on them as well. So just be a little bit careful there. Stocks like CRM holding in here on some support. We'll want to keep an eye on that as long as that can continue to hold. We're doing a little bit of a wedging pattern here, but you can see those bulls coming in this morning. If they were to push it back up, maybe we have another chance to run up here and test this resistance and maybe even blow through it this time. So watch that. TLT. Now TLT has been really bouncy and gappy here recently. There's a lot of uncertainty here on this. Watch this closely. It's trying to push back up here this morning, which is well, kind of interesting, considering the way we see the dollar moving here today. But watch that carefully. This is one of those stocks that I think if we start to catch a bid here in these longer bonds, watch for the opportunity that banks could really start buying them up quickly, and we could see some big moves here in bonds. Keep a close eye on that. By the way, this would be bond prices, not bond yields. We would need to see those bond yields starting to come down for those to really start pushing higher. And with all of the hope of rate changes coming up around September, that could be the case. Again, we've got some inflation data we got to get through here to show that confidence, but certainly a possible thing to be paying attention to. And then let's take a look at some retail here. Walmart, oh my goodness. I keep mentioning this one over and over and over. There's just these beautiful patterns, and these are the patterns I love to trade. We hold on to a beautiful trend. We continue to make these pullbacks and consolidations to that trend, and then we continue on higher. Every reason to believe here at the moment that Walmart can just rest back in here and keep that move alive going to the upside here in Walmart. You'll want to make sure and make note that it reports on 8/15, but there's plenty of time here to make some money on that. When we take a look at Costco, a little bit different concern here. Pretty strong pullback here in Costco all of a sudden, and I'm beginning to wonder if this could be kind of a flat-brimmed hat in here, head and shoulders pattern, as you can see. Watch that carefully. If that were to slip and fall into that area of the market, that could be a concern on that. And then when we look at stocks like TJ Maxx, completely the opposite, showing lots of bullishness here. We had that nice little resting pullback, coming back to trend and support, and you can see we got a little bit of buying coming in here on the pre-market. Watch carefully for that opportunity. Stocks like TJ Maxx could move on to the upside. So with that, everyone, I'm going to call that a video today. Thank you so much for being here. I really truly appreciate it. Remember, with all of this presidential uncertainty, we could see quite a little bit of volatility. We could see some big daily swings as those impressions swing back and forth as to what is possible in this election. So make sure you stay on top of that and watch that closely. This is one year that certainly all of that political stuff could have major impacts on the market. So just be prepared. Don't bury your head in the sand. And it doesn't matter what you believe. What matters is how the market reacts to these things going on. So watch that carefully. So with that, everyone, wish you all the best. Have an awesome day. And I will see you right back here bright and early Tuesday morning. Wishing you all the very best.